students, Dr. Shruggy here, and I'm ready to start showing you how you're going to be writing programs in this class. Programs that we're going to be writing are a file. They are in particular a text file. Now you have been working with text files, for a long time in your education. I mean, these are going to be files that contain things like letters and numbers and so on. You use text editors to change what's in the text file. Now, you're familiar with fancy schmancy types of editors like Word and so on. They can, do all kinds of fancy things like adjust margins and fonts and colors and insert pictures and so on. We're looking for something simpler here. This is going to be closer to like text messaging on your phone, where you're going to be, say, just manipulating letters and numbers. Okay, it's very, very straightforward. Because these are going to be the commands that make up your programs and so on the Linux computer. Now, there are a lot of different text editors out there. There are programs that let you make changes to files or create files that contain text, okay? For example, on your Windows computer, this could be as simple as Notepad, okay? That very simple little program that you can use that, literally just lets you jot little notes and so on. There's similar programs like a Mac OS computer and so on. In the Linux environment, there's actually several different editors that are used to edit text, and there are pros and cons to each of them, and each of them have almost a religious following. I happen to be a huge fan of a particular text editor called VI. VI is a very powerful set of tools for editing text, but it has a rather steep learning curve. If you have been in another class with me, or are in a class with me right now in which we are using VI as a text editor, fantastic. Feel free to use VI all semester long, and because you already have all those skills, you've already taken the time to learn VI, and so great. If you don't know VI as a text editor, we're going to use a simpler text editor. I don't particularly much care for this particular text editor because it doesn't have a lot of power. It can't do a lot of fancy things to help you find bugs in your programs and so on. But it doesn't have much of a learning curve. It's pretty easy to learn. And the name of this much simpler editor is Nano, like nanotechnology or something like that. So if you want to, if you are just like me right now, logged into Chesapeake, and you want to make a text file, like this is maybe the beginning of a program that you're writing, or for now let's just kind of make it like a letter or something like that. The way that you invoke the Nano text editor is type the word nano, N-A-N-O, and then a space, and then the name of the file that you are editing. If this file doesn't yet exist, you'll be creating such a file. If this file already exists and you're editing it, that's what will be happening here. So let's just say I'm going to write a file called my letter to mom.txt. Okay, like I'm writing a letter to mom or something like that. Okay, so I am creating a file. I'm choosing to give it the extension .txt just because that is a useful way to remember that this is a text file. It contains things like letters and numbers in contrast to like a GIF image or an HTML web page or something like that. So you type nano space and then the name of the file that you want to be editing. And then you hit enter to invoke the command, and you are now inside of an editor. Now, other editors, like again VI being the best example here, have complicated tools, modes, and things like that they can be in. Nano couldn't be simpler. It's basically just Notepad. If I start typing something, hi mom, I am writing to you today as an example in my class, it just shows up. Now that might not seem like rocket science when you don't know that there are other editors like Emacs and VI where you can't just type and it shows up like this. You have to go into the right modes and so on. But this is pretty straightforward. You just start typing and it shows up. And the arrow keys work just fine. Now you can't go down, like it might be weird, why is the cursor right there and I can't go down any farther? Because you haven't created anything in the file any farther down. If I put some enter symbols here, now we can go up and down through this part. It's a ridiculously stupid little text editor, and you have to be careful not to outthink it. Okay, all you're doing here is just typing text. If you keep going to the end of the line, it's just going to wrap around. If I keep going to the end of the... See how I kind of made a mess? Okay, it's thinking, okay, apparently you want more than... I think I have the screen set for 80 characters wide. Apparently it thinks you need more than 80 characters. Well, no. If you get to the end of a line, hit enter, just like you would have on an old typewriter or something. If I keep going to the end of the line, I literally have to press enter to move to the, here I'm going to do it again, enter, next line, as if this were a typewriter. It's really that simple. It's also really that stupid. I mean, it's just literally pounding out the text that you create. Nano is absolutely nothing to learn, but it is also not very powerful. This is not going to help you find bugs in your program the way students who use VI will have. VI does not have great skills for helping you find errors in programs with Octave, the programming language we're going to be using in this class, which is why I'm not really pushing the VI issue all that much. Again, if you want to go over here and make some, if you want to change writing to, I'm writing to you today as an example in my ERG 301 class. I mean, you can just go ahead and type, add words. You can just use the delete key to enter. Again, this might not seem like rocket science if you're only knowing Nano, but people who know VI are sitting here going, holy smokes, you didn't have to go into append mode to do that, and you didn't have to. No, you didn't. It's that simple. There's, yeah, you could just edit and add lines. If you want to move some line, if I just put this text here, if I want to move it to above, below, I just backspace to delete those enter symbols that are in between there. It's just that simple. Now you have some tools at your disposal that are given to you down there at the bottom of the screen. That little caret symbol means control. So like the control key on your keyboard. So in general you can do things like write the file, justify the file, etc. But the one that's really important when you're actually writing computer programs is just exiting. Okay, you in general are not going to be worried about all these other cut and uncut and so on. And so if you hit Control X, it doesn't have to be capital X the way it shows on the screen there, it says Save Modified Buffer. That is sort of a tricky little way of saying, do you mean like, should I save this or should I throw out your changes? So if you just put just either Y for yes or N for no, like I'll say yes. And then it says file name to write to, myletter.tomom.txt. If you wanted to change the name, you could do it at this time. If you don't, just go ahead and enter, and you're done. And you are back at the command line in Chesapeake, on the Linux command line. And if you use the ls command, you can see I have a lot of files in my directory here, but one of them is mylettertomom. Okay, if I want to make more changes to mylettertomom.txt, I type nano, mylettertomom.txt, and I'm back here editing that file again. Okay, and I can make more changes to it. Sincerely and with warm regards, John. Okay, so you can make more changes, then hit Control X to save it again. It is really that simple. There are a few other things Nano can do. It can help you find a line of text, for example. You know, like if you have a word misspelled, you know that you need to go to this part of the program. There is a where is command and so on. I'm going to provide you on the page that you're here on Blue Line with a link to a Nano tutorial, which you are certainly welcome and encouraged to go through to learn more about the different functionalities you can take advantage of in Nano. But Nano is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's basically just a sticky note of a piece of software. All it does is just barely edit text. Okay? It doesn't understand anything about the mouse. You can't like move the cursor around using the mouse. You just have to use the arrow keys. It's a very, very simple program. But you now know the basics of using Nano enough that you wouldn't even need to do anything else. You could use this tool to create the programs that you're going to be running in Octave. Okay, that would be enough then, but I do encourage you to at least kind of breeze through that Nano tutorial that I'm linking you to at least learn a little bit more about some of the other options that you have. Alright, please let me know if you have any questions. This is Dr. John Schrage. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.